want to start a new series on JAMB Comprehension. On the caption, Secrets of JAMB Comprehension, Part 1. Secrets of JAMB Comprehensions, Part 1. So we are going to begin by asking ourselves a very simple question. What are JAMB comprehensions all about? And how are JAMB comprehension passages different from wide comprehension passages? So here we go. The first one is that JAMB comprehensions use more advanced passages, while WAEC uses elementary passages. 2. JAMB passages could be shorter than WAEC comprehension passages. Please take note of that. Number 3, JAMB comprehensions use complex expressions or disruptive expressions, while WAEC uses loose expressions. So in this video, we are going to try to highlight these tips and then try to understand JAMB comprehension very clearly under the caption, Secrets of JAMB Comprehensions Part 1. So, in this part 1, we are going to be looking at 3 top secrets. Number 1, how to understand JAMB comprehension passages. Then number 2, how to deduce the writer's attitude towards the subject matter. Very important in JAMB comprehensions. Then 3, reasons candidates fail JAMB comprehensions. Reasons candidates fail JAMB comprehensions. Now, let's pick on the first one, which is how to understand JAMB comprehension passages. Now, here goes our first secret, which is how to understand a JAMB comprehension passage. Now, we have 4 tips to discuss under that secret. 1. When you are given a JAMB comprehension passage, the first thing you should do is to try to understand the words that are used in the passage. So we have the identify word meanings. And there are 2 ways you can do that, and we're going to try to demonstrate the different ways that you can try to understand words that are used in a typical passage. And try to understand as well that the passage is not going to be so familiar to you like you would expect. If it's WAEC, you're going to expect a very simple passage, like you're going to come across simple words, normal words, regular words, everyday words. But in JAMB comprehension, you're going to expect to what? Encounter difficult words, unfamiliar words, words that you have not seen before, or the words that you have not heard of before. So you're going to expect to see them in a JAMB comprehension passage. Number 2, besides trying to understand the words, try to understand the grammatical structure of expressions. We are also going to discuss how to decode the way they construct their sentences. That will also help you to understand the passage. And 3, try to identify the logical structure of the expressions. Besides understanding the semantic structure of expression talks about how words are put together to form an expression. That is what you call semantic structure. When you're talking about logical structure, we're not talking about the meanings that those words that have been semantically arranged. What meanings are they now conveying indirectly? So here you're going to need connotative words, understanding of expressions. We shall demonstrate that as well in this video. Then number 4, try to differentiate main points from illustrations. So the whole essence of this is to come to the final point of being able to differentiate main points from illustrations. Now let us begin, okay? And then we're going to cite some examples to illustrate these tips. So, on our first secret, that is how to understand the passage, we are going to take our first tip, and it says identify word meanings. I told you at the beginning of this video that the passage you are going to be giving in JAMB, okay, is going to be an unfamiliar passage. And the context is going to be a little bit strange, like unfamiliar words are going to be present in the passage. So the first thing you should do, okay, to understand a JAMB comprehension passage is to try to understand the individual words. So you make that a point of duty first. And there are two ways you can do that. The first one is by using context clues. And it goes with the understanding that a word has no meaning except in its context. Please don't forget this. So with this understanding, you shouldn't be afraid of any material you're going to ever come across in life. You shouldn't expect to know all the words in this word. And the materials you are going to be reading from this level onward, okay, would always contain difficult words. So as you are reading, whether it is a newspaper or magazine or textbook or strong textbooks, difficult books, okay, so you're going to expect to come across difficult words. What you should do is the understanding, the use of what? Context clues or what? Word formation. So that will help you a great deal, okay, in simplifying or in understanding whatever passage you come across, and however strange. By context clue, what do we mean? We are simply talking about the use of environment, okay, to understand the meaning of a word. Simple. That's the meaning of context clue. The use of what? Environment to understand the meaning of what? A word. So sometimes we can call this contextualization and environment. So, by the use of context clue, you can use the sound of a word to decode its meaning. You can use the environment of a word to decode its meaning. You can use the color or the inference as the connotative meaning or inference of a word in a sentence or in an expression to decode its meaning. Now, let's try to have a typical illustration. I'll show you something here. For example, if I use paper, I can say, you cannot drive without paper. Paper. Don't say, okay, paper means what we are using to write in school. No. With the way paper is used in that expression, you would understand that it's not talking about the books you use to write in school. So you use environment. For example, you cannot drive without papers. Here, papers, okay, implies driving license. What about you cannot buy without papers? The use of papers in this expression is different from the meaning of paper in the first expression. So from environment, you would understand the meaning of this paper as used in this expression. That this paper definitely means money, because they are saying you cannot buy without paper. So the paper here is different from the paper in the first expression. What about you cannot get a job without paper? This paper here again is different from the rest too. To get a job, what type of paper are you going to use? Are you going to use the paper you used to drive to get a job? No. Are you going to use the papers you used to buy in the market to get a job? No. So the papers you are going to use to get a job from contextualization and environment would or should refer to credentials or certificates. So this is how to use the environment of a word to understand the meaning of what? The word. Now let's go beyond that. You can use the sound of a word to understand the meaning of that word in an expression. For example, if I give an expression, I say, the pussy of bees. That is a figure of speech where sound suggests meaning. So busy would mean the words, the noise that what bees make. The clamoring of the crowd. Clamoring. Oh, the crowd was clamoring outside so loudly that I could not concentrate in the hall. Definitely, that clamoring is going to mean something that has to do with disturbance, noise making, quarreling. So that is the meaning of the use of sound to understand the meaning of what? Expression. What about the use of color? This one is essentially relevant when you are talking about idioms. Idioms. If I say, my account is in red. My account is not in red, by God's grace. So, my account is in red. What does that mean? There's no money in the account. The person is broke. Alright, so this is what we mean by the use of contextualization, the use of sound, the use of environment, and the use of word, color. So, we now move to the next one, which is what? Word formation. This one is very interesting. There are some words that were constructed and or obtained by the combination of root words plus word, preface and suffix. So when you find them in some expressions, sometimes they can become a source of confusion. When I say, when you have words like unbelievable, unbelievable, it's very easy to understand and to decode. Just break the word into its components. The root word here is what? Believe. I am going to have what? On. I am going to have what? Able. On means what? Not. Believe, of course, is what? Believe. And then able is what? Can be. Able is what? Can be. So unbelievable means cannot be believed. So to make it syntactically correct, then you're going to add what? The. Cannot be believed. So unbelievable means cannot be what? Believed. What about unimaginable? You can break on all things like prefaces like what? On means what? Not. All prefaces like ir means what? Not. All prefaces like what? This. If I say I'm discontented, I am contented, okay, that means I'm satisfied. So all things like this means what? Not. Now let's go. On here means not. Imagine means what? Imagine. Then able means what? Can be. So we are going to interpret this one as what? Cannot be what? To make it syntactically correct, you add your D. Cannot be what? Imagine. That is, you cannot imagine it. So this is how you can what? Understand words. Different words are going to come to you, like I said, unfamiliar words. So you should be able to what? Simplify them, break them down, try to get their meanings first. And that is the first thing you should do with a JAMB Comprehension word passage on our secret one. Then the second tip on secret one is identify the grammatical structure of expression. Let us look at that. So here we go with our second tip on that secret one, which is identify the grammatical structure of expressions. Like I said at the beginning of this video, the expressions that you would normally see in JAMB passages are complex expressions. In other words, complex sentences, and you can call them disruptive expressions. Okay? Now, an expression is said to be complex if it is made up of just two clauses. That is, main clause and a subordinate clause. Like you have on the board, we have sub plus main and main plus sub. Now take a good note of the two categorizations here. One, periodic expressions. A periodic expression is the type of expression where the main point is at the end of it, while a loose expression is the type of expression where you can usually find the main point at the beginning of the sentence. Now, JAMB passages are fond of using periodic expressions where you are going to find the main point at the end of the construction. The next thing I want to do in this video is to give you some examples, and then that is some examples of periodic expressions, and show you how the main point is embedded in them. So when you find them in JAMB, you would understand how to move away from the subordinate idea and go straight to the main point in the sentence in order to understand the word, the sentence. Let's go. So here are some examples. The first one is a periodic expression. In the almost incredibly brief time which it took the small but sturdy porter to roll a milk can across the platform and bump it with a clank against other milk cans, similarly treated a moment before, Sarah fell in love. This is an example of a periodic sentence. Why? Because the main idea is at the end of the expression. What are they trying to tell us here? Okay, let's say we don't understand the idea of periodic and loose expressions, and then you want to understand it headlong. Let's go. In the almost incredibly brief time which it took the small but sturdy porter to roll a milk can across the platform and bump it. What have they said to us with that? Nothing. To roll a milk can across the platform. Nothing. They have not said anything to you with that. So that is why we call that a subordinate expression or an illustration in this sentence. Then we continue with a clank across other milk cans, similarly treated a moment before. That is rolling a milk can with a clank, like it happened before. What have they said? Nothing. Sarah fell in love. This is what you guys are trying to tell us, that Sarah fell in what? Love. So all these other stuff are what? Stories. So try to understand that in JAMB Comprehension passages, you are going to what? Come across this kind of writings where they are going to be saying irrelevant things, irrelevant. You don't even see what to pick from them. But at the end, you will not get the main point. So such expressions are called disruptive expressions. And simply put, in O-level language, we call them periodic what? Expressions. Let's take the second one. This one is an example of a loose expression. I knew I had found a friend in a woman who herself was a lonely soul, never having known the love of a man or child. So what is this guy trying to say? This guy had fallen in love with a woman, simple. This expression is a loose expression. Why is it a loose expression? Because it contains the main point at the very beginning of the sentence. I knew I had found a friend in a woman. This guy had found the love of his life. This guy has just fallen in love with what? A woman, simple. So the other elements that follow in the sentence are illustrations. They are what? Irrelevant. So to say, I knew I had found a friend in a woman who herself was a lonely soul. That one does not concern us again. You have found a friend, you have found a friend. This friend I have found has never known the love of any man before in her life. In JAMB, expect that you are going to be given periodic expressions and not this type of expressions. You can expect this type of expressions in WAEC, where the main point will be given to you first before the illustration, okay, in the sentence. But in JAMB, they are going to say so many relevant things and put the main point at the word end. If you are not careful, you will think that the main point is about one of the irrelevant elements that is what? Given. Thank you. So that is that about how to understand grammatical structure of sentences. We move to the next one, which is identify the logical structure of expressions. What is logic? Logic is all about thinking between the lines, understanding the unwritten information from the word written. And it operates on this principle. Premise plus inference is equal to what? Implication. Premise is the information that they are going to give you, maybe the main point in the expression. Let's say, for example, a loose expression, which has a main point at the beginning. And then the inference, you can say, okay, is probably the illustration or the subordinate part of that loose sentence. So what is the statement referring to? What does the statement imply? This is what logic is all about. If A is equal to B, B is equal to C, then A is equal to C. Why? That is logic. So there is a connection or relationship between what? A and what? C. Let's have a practical example to illustrate the logical what? Understanding or analysis of a passage. If it's raining, then I carry an umbrella. This implies A, it is raining and I carried an umbrella. B, it is not raining but I carried an umbrella. C, it is not raining and I carried an umbrella. D, it is not raining but I choose to carry an umbrella. What's the correct answer? If it's raining, then I carry an umbrella. Now, is it raining yet?
No.
If it happens to rain, then I will carry an what? Umbrella. So A, B, C, or D, please. The correct answer is D. It is not raining, but I chose to what? Carry an umbrella. Very simple. Why is it like that? The use of then in an expression is equivalent to the use of what? Or. And an expression that has an or, okay, will always have one part of it to be positive. So it is not raining. I choose to carry what? An umbrella. And it's under what? Probability. That is why this I choose is a qualifier or a modifier in this expression. So ability to understand expressions like this is very helpful in understanding JAMB comprehension what? Passage. So finally, in this video today, we're going to talk about how to use tip 1, 2, and 3 to synthesize a passage and to bring out the main point and to filter that out of the illustrations, okay, that you could be given. And take note that in a passage, you could normally have different paragraphs. Paragraph 1, paragraph 2, and all of that. Each paragraph has a main point, and then it has illustrations. Now, the 3 or 4 paragraphs that I give it to you, you have to synthesize them or bring them together and try to identify the major paragraph that encompasses the rest paragraphs. And it is that one that will help you to identify the subject matter of the passage. From there you get your theme, and that will be, okay, what we shall be discussing in our second episode of this series. Let's have an example of how to filter main point from what? Subordinate points. Although the lone lantern flicker as Binke crossed the ruined bridge on shore of the future, yet gripping one fragile spark of courage. So that the lantern went off is not the major point here. This one only happened accidentally. So this is where we are going to draw the curtain on the first episode of this series. In our next episode, we shall be discussing how to deduce the writer's attitude towards the subject matter. Can you join me in that class again? And I'll show you will get value for your efforts. See you later.